Welcome back then folks, of course, to the second build today for one of what is already approaching the last of Special Projects Pack 4. Now this particular one is more of a nostalgia trip build, similar to the Tommy Kyrie GTR that I did, but this one even more so is a very surface level build. I don't want to build it up to be anything that it's not. It's super simple, and this is really only as like a little member berry for a car that used to be in Gran Turismo 2, that we of course don't have anymore, the Shelby GT500KR. I believe it was called different things in different versions of the game, at least the version I had called it the KR. Now this one had a 7-litre V8, instead of this one's roughly 4.5 litre V8. Of course we can't do much about that. That car had 358 horsepower, we've got this one up to 357. Unfortunately, you cannot get the weight on this car to be as high as that one. That one was like 1,600 kilos. The best we can get out of this is the high 1,400. So like I said, it's not going to be accurate. This is just a little nostalgia trip for those who enjoyed playing with Gran Turismo 2's vehicles, such as this one, more obscure cars. Now this one is a vehicle that I've actually done the livery for, and I've done a ton of different colours, kind of throwing back to all the different colours you could have on the car back in Gran Turismo 2. And as far as the parts, it's really easy. So I've got a sports silencer that I've purchased, the sports pads, comfort medium tyres that I've just left on there anyway. As far as the club sports, we've bored out the engine, because obviously it's not a 7-litre, but I wanted it to at least have a bit of a bigger engine. We've got the ballast fitted. Of course, like I said, you want the weight to be higher instead of lower. The semi-race silencer I purchased as well. And this was, of course, as usual, to check out which ones seem to line up with the car better. You'll see in a second which one I ended up using. As far as the racing stuff, of course, we've stroked out the engine as well as boring it out. We've got balance tuning, polished ports. I've gone for the race filter. I've got the race silencer purchased. If I recall correctly, I don't think I'm using the race one though, so double check that before you buy them. As far as the rest down here, I actually haven't fitted much at all, because in a very similar way to the ZL1 Camaro that I did in a previous pack, this is a very surface level, like trim change, like I said, rather than a complete intensive overhaul. If we could drop a 7-litre into it, that would be pretty nice, but unfortunately we can't. Now, of course, as I said, with the visual package, you can click the link down below and get any of the colours if you do want to grab one. This particular example, of course, being the gold one. The comfort medium's already on there. Stock suspension, stock diff, standard transmission as well, of course, so like I said, not much of a change. I've added 200 kilos of ballast. I put that 20% more so towards the front, so a 60-40 split for drifting. No adjustment on the ECU, no power restrictor, of course, no downforce. And then as far as the parts, we've got the racing intake, the racing air cleaner, as they call it, the sports silencer, sports pads, of course, fitted, and as far as the rest, you can see it here. So, like I said, in a similar way to, funnily enough, the other Ford, the Ford GT Mark II that I did a couple of days ago, this is a very simple build, just as a novelty tune. Something which I doubt many other people have done, if anyone. I'm sure one or two have, but generally speaking, I don't think it's a vehicle that's high on most people's priority list. So with that out of the way, the point level is pretty reasonable, decent amount of power, not too much weight, all things considered. So of course we'll jump out to the track to show you what it can actually do in practice. Like I said, much like that ZL1 Camaro that I did, this is all about just being a novelty car. Of course, being a representation of what would be a stock muscle car, or pony car in this case in the game. It's not some heavily modified version of a GT500, we're just trying to mirror the specs of the base car. So of course, visually speaking, I did what I can, such as the ragtop look, the blacked out back end, the side stripes, and of course one of the most notable things about the car in Gran Turismo 2, the really pronounced like nasal intakes on the bonnet. Of course, again, there's only so much you can do with the decal, but I've done as best as I can to go down memory lane and have this alternate take, if you will, on a Shelby Mustang. So if you do decide to use it, I hope you have some fun with it. You could potentially use it to race with, I guess, in lower level or classic events, but it's very much so just the kind of build I would recommend. You know, if you've got one of these Mustangs sat in the garage that you're not doing anything with, then slap it on, have a novelty build, maybe a couple of them if you've got a couple of them that you've won or whatever. And of course, if you do decide to use it and maybe even modify it further to use it in some racing events, then of course, by all means, have fun with it. Of course, check out the other builds that I've done in this pack, the vast majority of which are far more intensive than this one. This is a very simple one, like I said. And of course, stick around for the final two tomorrow of pack number 4. But Of course, you can grab all of the different colours in the description below, like I said, and until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.